Okay, here's my 2016 Beta 300RR. Had it for about 6 months, so I think it's time to do a little review while there's still a little bit of new left on the bike. Talk a little bit about why I chose the Beta, maybe talk a little bit about the mods I've done since owning the bike, and then general impressions so far. I think as for me, I've always ridden two strokes, been riding about 10 years, started in my late 30s riding bikes, so I never grew up with them, so I've never been a real strong rider. Started off with a 99 CR, 250R, pretty scary bike for me, and then went to a 2012 KTM 250 XC. That was also a pretty scary bike, but a little taller. It was much more of an animal than the CR, but I think the modern two strokes had much more manageable power. Didn't want to buck you off the back of it when it hit the pipe like the CR did. But last year, my son and I did a trip up to Utah on the Arizona back road discovery route, and so we sold our two strokes and bought four strokes so that we could fuel up along the way and get up on highway speeds and whatnot. I ended up getting a KTM 690. Love the bike, but after the trip, when we're back home, getting back on the nice trails that we like to ride out here in eastern Phoenix, the East Valley, that was just a little too big. It could do the trails, but you just didn't have as much fun as you would on a two-stroke. So I've always wanted a 300 two-stroke. I think that KTM 300 has always been a dream bike for me for many years. But when I did research, started looking around on YouTube and a lot of the guys that I followed, started talking about Betas. So I checked them out, and I originally went in looking at a bike that came out last year from Beta, the 300 Cross Trainer. It's a same 300cc engine, two-stroke, put on a small frame, probably about 85% the size of a normal dirt bike. It's detuned a little bit and mainly emphasize the torque curve versus the horsepower curve. And it had oil injection, which I thought was really cool because now I could still ride the trails, hit a gas station, fill up, and connect to another trail. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I went down there to buy one. I put a deposit on one, and then as I left waiting for my bike to come in, I was getting a little bit buyer's remorse, thinking the bike was too small. I'm 6'3", 210 pounds, and that may have been a bit too small for me. But as I was waiting for the bike, Beta announced the 2016 300RR, and one of the changes that they made is they put the oil injection on the big two-stroke. So I immediately called the dealership up and said, hey, switch my order over to the 300RR, and he did it. So here it is. And then after I got it, I was more than happy with it. I just started noticing a lot of the details that Beta puts in that we're missing on some of the KTM rides I've had in the past. Small stuff, nothing major. You know, triple clamps are billet machine, not cast. You know, I guess you could get that on a 6 days if you wanted. These grab handles, I mean, it's a stupid little simple thing to do. I don't know why everybody doesn't do it, but you know, I usually used to run the strap across the seat nuts to pick up your bike and assist it around. These grab handles are awesome. They're built right into the subframe. And you know, the riding we do out here in Phoenix, do a lot of rock gardens and, you know, climbing up boulder-strewn waterfalls, and the bikes end up on their side a lot. So, you know, having a handle to muscle them around is pretty nice. It's right down to the frame. It's secure. This is also cool. Another stupid little small detail, but push-button seat release. No hunting for your screw on the bottom or forgetting to put it in or losing it on the trail. push the button, seat comes off. The main reason you get under the seat here a lot is the oil reservoirs under there for the oil injector. You can see the oil injector right here. I think that's really cool. You know, a lot of people don't trust them, but I've had them in jet skis. Snowmobiles have had them for a number of years, reliably working. So I figured they can figure how to make it work on a dirt bike. I make sure the lines are clear. You know, I think it'll be just fine. That tank lasts me 2.5, 3 tankfuls of gas, which brings me to one of the first modifications I did. I did go ahead and put the bigger gas tank on. This is probably a 3.1, 3.2 gallon gas tank. You can see the fit. It widens out the shrouds, but I did like that it keeps the stock shrouds. That's a pretty nice, keeps the look of the bike, which I think is a pretty sweet looking bike. You know, my son's extended tank is a monster, sort of ugly, but ugly on there, but it does the job. This is big enough where it doesn't throw the weight off too much like the bigger, you know, 5 gallon tanks do. For me and the riding we're doing lately, I'm getting right at about comfortably 70-mile rides out of a tank. Probably get 80. I've never run it down. I had a full tank. It's right about here, and we did about a 30-mile, pretty good ride last weekend. A lot of hill climbs, a lot of high-speed wash runs on that last ride. So maybe a little more Top Gear ride in there. So I think I'd go comfortably 70 miles, but much needed in the 2-stroke. You know, my son's riding the 4-stroke, so he can easily get 70 to 100 miles out of that 350 on his tank. So I'm trying to at least keep the range so we can have fun for the same amount of time. Next upgrade I did was pretty important is I did go tubeless. So I think tubeless has been a great addition here. I think second ride out I had a pinch flat in some rocks, and that was no fun. About 20 miles in, I had a pinch flat and had to ride back to the truck there, cut my trip short. That next weekend I threw the tubeless on front and back, and it's been great. The only issue I've had here is that I think the second ride out I put another pretty sharp rock through the tire, and you can see I had to plug it. So I plugged it, filled the tire back up. Since then I run some sealant in there. So a lot of cactus and stuff out here in Arizona that likes to get in the tires. So see if that works. Haven't had any trouble with it since. It does allow me to run some really low pressures in the back. I tend to keep the front normal. The back I'm running around 3 psi. These are pretty stiff tires, so so far that's been working good on the rocks and whatnot. Up front on controls, I went with the Scott steering stabilizers, BRP rubber mounts. I used to have carbon fiber twisted engineering handlebars, but they took one too many rock falls and cracked, and they became junk after that. Beautiful handlebars, eliminated all vibration. They really made it easy to ride. No arm pump, no lot less fatigue. However, there's carbon fiber's got a weakness, and that's if you violate that carbon fiber structure, they go from very strong to very weak. So I went back to good old Contour Pro tapers in a Pastrana bend. It's about the highest bend you can get. Again, that puts it right about where my reach is great. You know, standing up, it gives me good position on the bike. Love it. A little more vibration than the old handlebars, but the rubber mounts are doing their job, so it's not that bad. We're out there having fun, so it hasn't been too bad. So I do miss the carbon fiber, but not that much. I'd rather not be buying $300 handlebars every 6 months. So we'll see how these work for a while. Did go with a Midwest Mountain Engineering clutch lever. This cut the clutch effort down to about 50%. It's just physics. They put a cantilever system in there, so you get a little more leverage on the clutch piston. Beta's always had a light clutch, a lot lighter than the KTM's to begin with, but this is just really sweet. One finger control. It's I think that was a really cheap and good add-on on there. Did go with the Beta factory radiator guards. I think that's, again, like I said, I'm not a strong rider, so I tend to be dumping my bike a little more often than not, so keeping the radiators protected was important to me, as are the hand guards. Not necessarily to protect my bars or clutch or anything, but to protect my hands from the choyas and cacti that are out here. They're working out great. Let's see what else. I did have the electronic fan on here when I first bought it. I did have them throw a fan on there just from some of the high heat that we run out here, but man, this two-stroke runs so incredibly smooth and cool. I ended up taking it off to put my guard on there. I could have removed that and left the fan in there. You could see I guess I could get a different tank to use up that, get another bit of gas in there, but I found it unnecessary. It complicated the water circuit a bit, and there was some electrics there, so I just took it out when I put the radiator guard on there. It's really not needed on this two-stroke. And I guess to compensate for it, even though I said it doesn't need it, I did flush the radiator out and put the Evans coolant in there that we've run successfully in the KTM's that did run hot and boil over a lot. We put that in there, and don't boil over at all anymore, even out in the dunes and whatnot in the sand. Went with a Slavin's linkage guard. Didn't know what I felt about this. It's not as smooth as the other ones, but if you can see there, it's doing its job. It's banged up pretty well, and it does tend to slide off the trailer. That's probably more trailer slides than rock slides. It slides over things pretty well. So I guess it's protecting my linkage. Shark fin in the back, definitely protecting my disc back there. You can see that's been well beat up, which made me think I had to put something on the front disc brake, and I did. So it's been working pretty well. One thing they say to do is in this extended fender, they're pretty stiff, so a lot of people notch them if you do wheelies, because when they bend, they don't bend, they crack, as you can see here. Not that I'm a wheelie rider, but if you have members of your family, i.e. kids, that like riding wheelies, it's probably best to notch that. I got another one coming, so I will notch that one and save the back end here. I did go with I did change out the FMF pipe. I beat the original one to hell and put a hole in it, so I got a new pipe. But the original FMF pipe that comes with the Beta, it's nice, but it doesn't have a spark arrestor, and they've been chucking out here on some of the trails. Rangers come out, so I did get a new silencer with a spark arrestor on there, so that's working out good. And that's it. I think just my overall impressions after 6 months, this is definitely probably one of my funnest bikes I've had in a long time. Not sure why. I think, as I was doing the research, like I said, the KTM 300 has always been my dream bike. I was set to get one of those. The 6 days was coming out. But looking at the reviews of people that I trust or people that I followed on YouTube, everybody said about the same thing. The KTM was a great bike, but it's really set up like if you're a racer or somebody really confident and rides really fast, KTM's set up for you. But for everybody else, they said this was a good trail bike, and that's what I do out here. Is I trail ride. I'm not running to the track or doing hair scrambles at high speed or anything like that. And once I got this, I haven't even touched the suspension on this thing, so it's really plush. I did put a little stiffer spring in the back for my weight, but the KTM I was fiddling with suspension. It always wanted to push through the turns, didn't want to turn for me as much as I'd like, so I was never really confident running high speed in the sand and throwing them into the berms. But this bike, man, it makes me feel like I'm a lot better rider than I am. Or maybe it's making me a better rider, but I lean this bike in a turn, hit the gas, and it turns. And again, I haven't touched any dials, clickers, or anything on the bike. It's just stock. So it's plush, but it's working for me. So I have really had a lot more fun on this bike than any of the other two-stroke bikes I've had. So, and that 300 engine is a dream, man. That thing has got torque down low, motor up the hills. As long as I do my job and not chicken out, it'll get up there. But I really, really like this bike. Think it was the right choice, at least for me. So we'll see if another 6 months I still feel that way. But until then, I'm loving it. That's it.